You're listening to I'm Hurt with Cutthroat Cody and Timothy Styles. So there it is.
That's the intro.
That is... That's true. It is the intro.
We made it this far.
Yep, I did it. My audio prowess has brought us this far. Hello, everyone. I'm Timothy Styles. With me is the person of interest. See, I'm nobody.
You're somebody to me.
Oh, thanks, buddy. But to everyone else, I'm pretty much a nobody. My name is Timothy Styles. With me, the person of interest, Cutthroat Cody.
Yeah, that would be me. And honestly, I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you because I am very inept when it comes to dealing with technology at this scale.
Stop blowing smoke.
Okay.
Now, I should ask, because there's not a whole lot of prep going into doing this.
Not at all.
Should I... I said Cutthroat Cody, but what about your babyface alter ego?
I would like to forget the Crash Test Cody days as much as I possibly can.
Really?
Oh, yeah. No,
well, I missed him.
Well, you didn't miss much. Well, maybe you missed a little bit.
I missed you with hair. I missed you being 100 pounds heavier.
Yeah, you missed the comb-over days.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's going to be rough, right?
It was hard letting go.
How old were you when your hair started thinning?
You know, I had a pretty awesome set of hair, actually, before I lost it.
How do you get a set?
Well, I grew it.
I got a set.
It was a nice bundle of hair, and then I had a match with Funny Bone for the Vegas Championship Wrestling Silver State title, and
that's a thing, or was?
That was a thing. Vegas Championship Wrestling was a big thing for me, and I wasn't even wrestling as Crash Test Cody back then. I was Doctrine Darko. Which was a combination of Donnie Darko and the character from Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha named Doctrine Dark.
Jeez.
Yeah, I still am a big nerd. So I got this title shot after having 2 matches with VCW, and I had to cut my hair for...
What was the VC in VCW?
Vegas Championship Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's right on the nose.
Absolutely, because we were in Vegas, and it was for a championship, and the championship was contested in a bout of professional wrestling. So
I'm a little old school, actually. I kind of like that. It's geographically centric.
Absolutely.
And the title is very specific. The Silver State Hootenanny Champ, or whatever it was.
Silver State title, yes.
Yeah,
Silver State Championship.
Was it fucking gold?
It was silver.
Just making sure.
So, and if anyone could be thanked for that, that would be Philip Brown, a.k.a. Legacy.
Right.
So if
now, but the hair is how we got.
Yes. So I was given a title shot really for no reason.
Okay.
And at the time,
hey, you and Jinder Mahal got a thing in common.
Absolutely.
I mean, he has a reason.
Well,
the juice is loose.
Absolutely. Hey, I haven't watched much of it, but
right.
It seems like he's doing well with it. So
I'm sure he's very happy.
Good on him.
Yeah.
From lower card obscurity to top of the heap, I mean, that's a big deal.
Sure, in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened with that was I was getting a promotion from my day job, which was paying me, and wrestling wasn't paying me that much.
Right.
And it was, you have to cut your hair. And what better way to
The day job said this.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, of course,
what better way?
The pro wrestler's mind is, oh, of course, then I have to have a loser loses, the hair match.
Well, in my mind, too, there was really nothing for
My
me
God,
to
I
put
imagine
up.
that Haystacks Calhoun a billion years ago got 40 people to lose their hair. This shit's still going on. 60 years later.
That was a thing.
Yep.
It was a thing. And I had the match with Funny Bone, and I was very much not prepared to have a match with Funny Bone in any capacity. I wasn't there yet. But he worked with me, and the match was as good as it could have been with my level of experience.
Without blowing his gimmick, you'd say he was a gent, right?
He's somebody that broke me in.
Right.
So...
we won't call him a nice guy, but we'll say he's respectful.
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
he just also happens to be the spawn of Satan.
Absolutely. This is also before the Your Demon King days. So he.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is back when Funny Bone was wearing pink flames on his gear and was coming out to Mudvayne dig.
Wow. See, it's good that he's the one that doesn't have control over, he has control over his pictures.
Yes.
And he's keeping those ones to himself.
Well, every now and again he goes back and shares that stuff, but we had the match. I cut my hair myself because obviously I lost.
Now, why'd you do it yourself?
Because it was a show of respect.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, you were the baby face.
Oh, of course.
So
he was a baby face too, though. It was a nice babyface match.
What? They didn't have somebody who was a dick lying around?
There was no tomfuckery.
Uh-huh.
There was no schmaz.
Right.
It was not overbooked.
So did you cut your hair in front of everybody?
Yes, I did.
Scissors or
scissors?
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yes. So my theory on why I went bald was because I used to have to run around with a ponytail all the time when I wasn't actually inside of a wrestling ring.
Right.
And it was my scalpel vertex that was going bald. This whole entire podcast is going to be about me balding.
Right.
This is going to be fucking fantastic. Here we go. So I tried to use Rogaine, and
that's humiliating.
it worked. But what didn't work was the amount of money that I had to dump into using it.
Oh, it's like people who try to quit smoking. If you want to get the gum, it's 2 times as much as smoking.
Absolutely. And eventually I tried to grow it back out. It didn't grow back out the same. I couldn't let go. I did the comb over.
Right.
And then I started shaving my head, and I got a girlfriend. So I think I win.
Right. Well, you got the girlfriend with the bald head.
Yes.
So that solidifies in your mind, like, oh, this is embarrassing. I'm bald-headed, until someone's willing to lay down with me on top of her and where I can wiggle around. Then it's okay. And now I'm Burt Reynolds.
Absolutely. She's really nifty, too.
Right. Oh, is this the same girl?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you, Elaine. I appreciate you.
So, everyone, welcome to the show-ish. This is an interesting experiment on Cody and my part. We got together. Well, we became friends because I was hosting a separate podcast where I wanted to have a pro wrestler on, and I met Cody, and we've remained chums, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Although we've had this interesting this interesting relationship where I am the aged pro wrestling fan, and you are the would you call yourself aged yet?
Well,
you're the pro wrestler in his indie prime.
I would say that age is starting to become a factor with the developments that have been going on as of late.
Right.
The injury itself that I have is definitely a part of age.
Spoiler alert, and that's what this show is about. Well, that's what it's going to be loosely based on. I mean, obviously, the show's called I'm Hurt, and you're out for a period of time because of a torn
rotator cuff.
Torn rotator cuff. And to keep you productive, we're going to get together on a monthly basis and chat about the biz without getting in too deep. Oh, who's someone on the roster that I could just make fun of?
You know...
I mean, but not really mean it. Who's the cat with the boxing gimmick?
Oh, Sugar Brown.
Sugar Brown. Oh, he's the worst. Yeah, we're not going to do any of that stuff.
No, I love that dude. Actually.
No, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But that's the point, is I'm not
Right.
going to. We're not going to be burying anybody or digging too much behind the biz. Because, one, it's not my place.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't need to be putting yourself in any hot water.
I don't agree with it, and I will be more than willing to tell you stories, about some backstage stuff and things like that. But my personal opinions are my personal opinions, and I choose to keep them to myself mostly, and the people that I do share them with, I share with privately.
To their face.
Yeah, not in an open forum.
Hey, you piece of shit. You throw a forearm like a goddamn cannonball. I hate your guts. Anyway, see you out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I can handle anyone that throws a forearm like a cannonball to me, by the way.
Right. So the concept was, you came to me and said, hey, T, I got an idea for a show. It'll help me pass the time while I've got MRIs and surgery and everything on the horizon. Can you help me out? And I said, sure. And we sat down and came up with the concept of I'm Hurt with Cutthroat Cody.
Absolutely.
And Timothy Styles, in parentheses.
And that's the thing, too, is that I know a big thing right now is WWE Network puts out these documentaries, these little tiny documentaries on guys that get hurt. I know Seth Rollins had one, Finn Balor had one.
Right.
And
I mean, they're promotional tools.
Absolutely, and it's fantastic for them that they are given the opportunity to have that showcased. It's terrible that they're injured, but you have a company that's backing them. The company is doing everything they can to get these guys back on Raw, back on SmackDown.
Well, the idea is that it's the publicly traded company, and each individual, anybody under the talent label would be considered an investment, and it's of their best interest to keep that investment in tip-top shape, and also get them back out there whenever they hurt themselves, because got to be making money.
Absolutely.
So they got a bunch of doctors. I can't speak whether they're the best of, but they certainly have a line of doctors who take care of short nagging injuries, and even some, we've all heard the tales of, guys having boils and everything lanced on their back and whatever, unless you're CM Punk. And, and of course they get injured with something major. They go off somewhere, and then they get to go to the Performance Center to rehab and get back into shape, and then there they are. Well, what happens to the indie guy without insurance and everything else?
The indie guy has
got to go to Mexico.
And that's something that I've actually read about. I mean, the indie guy is me.
Right.
I am the indie guy. And in the situation that I am right now, and please don't anybody take this as me whining or crying, but
pining. I like pining.
Yeah. I do have a plight, but where I'm coming from is a place of keeping people updated about what's going on with me.
Sure.
I want people to know that I'm not asking for handouts, but I am selling some of my personal things.
Right.
And I've accumulated some pretty cool shit over my years of being a nerd, specifically in the world of professional wrestling.
Oh, so if you're listening to this and you're a professional wrestling fan, and it is not the reason why we're doing this.
Absolutely not.
But it is an extra footnote, like, oh, hey, CTC, he's got some stuff on eBay or whatever. He's selling like an old school Nintendo that's been modded that can play every wrestling game ever created that has polygons.
Via an HDMI output.
Oh, see, I nailed it right on the head.
Absolutely. And that's
we'll announce that stuff as it comes along.
Absolutely. And another part is I also,
because sorry to interrupt.
No.
But because the insurance
that I have is covering
weak sauce.
Yes, a minimal portion. I can tell you right now that anytime I go and see my specialist, it's an $80 copay.
Right.
And the more that happens, the more drains from my bank account.
And by the way, I love healthcare in this country right now is a goddamn mess.
Yes, it is.
One half thinks that people a basic right should be healthcare, and the other half thinks that the more money you have, the better it should be.
And not to go too far into the realm of politics, but
don't worry, we shan't be doing that.
Yeah, and we're not going to. But I can tell you this much: if you don't think that you're affected by healthcare,
sure,
wait until you get hurt. Wait until you get sick. Wait until you have a loved one that gets hurt or sick, and you will find out very quickly that there needs to be something done about healthcare in our country.
Wow, you brought this to a grinding halt.
That's why they used to call me Crash Test Cody.
Oh, is that why?
Absolutely. So
this match stinks. Get Cody in there.
Yeah,
he'll bring it. He'll put it in on it. He'll put a bow on there.
Let's also talk about another thing that I want to do. I also want to bring up other performers, not just in the world of wrestling, but other performers that I've gotten to know over the years that also are suffering with injuries. I know a few people that they don't have the benefit of having a corporation behind them to pay for their rehab. Mm-hmm. I've met some really awesome people that have had their lives affected by injuries with what they do.
Right.
And I'm not going to ask anybody to give me anything. If you want to buy something of mine, I will sell it to you, and I will rest easy knowing that I was able to give you something for your money.
Right.
But there are other people that I do know that
By the way, this
help.
isn't I want to be clear on this because I don't want it to sound like, wow, this poor bastard.
Yeah.
He's selling shit to try to make money. This is shit that you buy with the intention to sell. It's not like you're selling stuff out of your house, so to speak.
No, I never bought anything with the intention to sell. I bought
but they're investments.
Yeah, I bought things because I was interested in them.
Right.
You know, like I have comic books, I have video games, and I have a lot of pro wrestling stuff.
Right. Particularly like you told me before we started recording, like a bunch of DVDs.
Yeah.
And you sold them for I can't believe this. At least $100, $105 for a bunch of DVDs. Somebody out there wearing Zumbas,
fanny pack,
and a fanny pack, and Oakley glasses. He thinks it's $19.99. I need all these DVDs.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is, like I said, I don't want anyone to feel like I'm asking for a handout. I am in a situation, though, to where I can give fans something that they may never even have known existed.
Right.
Like I said, I've got some pretty cool stuff, and I'm willing to part with it, and it's going to go to put me in a better place financially in order to afford what I need to medically.
Because that's the plight of an indie wrestler who has an injury.
Absolutely.
All right. Now I'm done talking about that shit. We'll attack that later on in future episodes where I'll briefly just say, hey, what bullshit are you selling this? Because quite honestly, I don't want it to come off like an advertisement.
It's not.
I'm going to play the role of devil's advocate.
Okay.
You're a professional wrestler. I play the spurned pro wrestling fan.
Yes.
I'm on behalf of the I have a feeling like some wrestlers are going to listen to this, and then some people who are fans are going to listen to this. I'll represent the quote-unquote fans, although I hate you more than life itself.
I am an evil asshole.
Right. So let's get down to it. For starters, how did the injury come about in the first place?
Well, I really...
Oh, if you hear ice, I'm drinking. Sorry. I put ice because it's hot in here. Now, carry on.
It happened during the No Limits title reign.
All right.
And I took on a role FSW training classes as well as actively performing on the roster. And as a trainer, I'm not the type of trainer that likes to be a bark dog.
Right.
I'm the type of trainer that will do things with you. So we were all working really, really hard. And at first, I thought the injury happened in my last match. Mm-hmm. I was more than convinced
with
that...
who?
Swade Thompson.
Okay.
It was the last Sam's Town show. It was the FSW 8-year anniversary.
Okay.
And
by the way, Swade Thompson is your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler.
It's what it says on his T-shirts, yes.
Just in case you thought, if you're ever wondering who Kevin Steen's favorite wrestler was.
It's Swade Thompson.
Swade Thompson.
And that's, at first I thought the injury happened in that match. I went to give him a cutter off the second rope, and neither one of us were able to get flat before the actual impact of the move.
Let me get to the dynamics of this. A cutter from the second rope. He is perched in a sitting position on the top of it?
Yes.
And you come up and grab him by you get from behind you. You get on the second rope and then go to do a cutter.
Yeah.
Did I spell it out well enough?
Technically, his legs are draped over the top rope on the outside, and I ascended to the second rope.
Okay.
And I grabbed him by the neck and tried to pull him from the top into the
center.
So
he was gonna lawn dart into the mat.
Flatten out, yeah. And
no, I'm saying lawn dart at a 45-degree angle.
Yes.
Is that the fear?
Yes.
His feet didn't leave at the same time or whatever.
Just both of us didn't get flat.
Right.
And
one of you did. Wink, wink. You.
Yeah.
Poor bastard. Whose idea was this?
Right. It's something that I've done before.
Okay.
So I mean, it's in my moveset.
So it's your own fault.
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's my own fault. And at first, when it happened, I really wanted to point a finger of blame. But I can tell you this right now. It wasn't really anybody's fault. I would like to put it under the category of shit happens.
Yeah, of course it does.
And that's something that like I said, I'm not going to point a finger of blame anymore. I really wanted to, and I'm not going to. Because once again, and I'm being honest.
Sure.
It could have happened with anybody.
Of course.
So that's something, like I said, I've done the move before. I haven't gotten hurt on it.
Right.
But, like I said, is...
wear and tear is a motherfucker.
And that's where we're getting to, is that now that I backtrack, and I've had time to be upset...
Sway Thompson's off the hook.
Right. I've had time to be angry. I've had time to be sad. I've had time to be drunk. I've had time to be depressed about it.
And then finally acceptance. That's all the stages.
Well, there was a situation that happened to me training for the match. And I was in training, and there is a student named Andy. And I'm going to tell everybody right now, if anybody ever wanted to know the measure of heart that you need to have to be a student, it would be Andy.
All right.
I gave Andy a clothesline in training, and my arm went completely numb.
Okay.
And I thought that was from tendonitis, because I do have tendonitis in both my elbows.
Your mind didn't go to stinger right off the bat.
No, it was from the clothesline for sure.
Okay.
And once again, I'm not going to point a finger of blame in the situation.
Well, who would you point it to?
Exactly. So there's no point in trying to place blame on anybody. But I gave him the clothesline, and my arm went numb, and I thought to myself, like I probably just aggravated my tendonitis in my elbow.
Right.
Now, I know that was probably the start of the tear. And what probably finished the tear was the diamond cutter from the second rope.
I'm so glad that you called it the diamond cutter.
What's a fucking diamond cutter? I normally call it an ace crusher, but I don't want to be that much of a
You hear
nerd.
that, Randy Orton, you piece of shit?
I speak from my time frame. From when I was a fan, it was a diamond cutter.
Don't worry, he's not listening. He's probably smoking somewhere.
He smokes a lot, doesn't he?
Smokes a lot of pole.
Yeah.
Hey-o. Oh, I mean, it's okay if you're into that. I like that.
To each their own.
I like that you could say something salacious, but you can end it with, that's totally cool, though, if he does.
So it's totally cool for you to be an axe murderer?
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you're into that.
If you're into that
I'm pulling the whole left wing, accepting of everyone.
There we go.
So you club this kid, you feel the little tear, and then later on in a match, you feel the tear go. How many more minutes did you have to wrestle after you felt it?
It was a 2 out of 3 falls match, and that was the second fall was when the cutter happened.
Okay.
So we went for the next fall. Match was over, and Swade Thompson walked out.
Real quick. Define, without being too gruesome, the feeling of having a rotator cuff tear in real time.
I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know. My adrenaline was going too much.
Right.
And I had no clue. until the next day.
Right. You couldn't fucking take off your shirt.
Right. It was actually I was in bed, and I normally sleep on one side of my shoulder, and I woke up in agonizing pain.
Right.
And I couldn't move my arm the way that I needed to move my arm. And I knew then something was really, really wrong.
Right.
And the tough guy in me said, well, I'm gonna take a couple days and I'm gonna see where it's at. I got a little bit more range of motion in some areas, and it was completely limited in some other areas. And then I tried to go to training,
right,
just to see where I was at. And that's when I knew it's really bad. So I couldn't throw a forearm. I couldn't throw a punch. I couldn't take a bump.
Is this in the right? This is in the right shoulder.
It's
right?
my right arm, yes.
So you can't throw a ball with your dad?
No.
A catch?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's my dad wasn't around for games of catch anyway, so it's okay. I didn't miss anything. But it was that was the eye-opening experience, and then at that point, I don't
mean to be too crude. Masturbation?
Oh, if there's a will, there's a way.
Oh, see, okay, so not everything's off the table.
Yeah, once again, if there's a will,
I mean,
there's
if
a
your
way.
old lady's out of town and you got to handle business,
yes,
you're not going to bring yourself to the between the two cushions of the couch thing. That's embarrassing. That's humiliating.
Yeah, no, it's never been that bad.
You'll fight through the pain.
Yeah, I've always tried to put on the front of a tough guy, and honestly, the lady's worth waiting for.
Sure.
I don't want to have to develop a physical dependency on fucking pillows.
Physical dependency on pillows. So after the match, though, Suede, he pieces out.
Well, no, not pieces out. I mean, like, he's the new No Limits champion.
Right.
So he and for the role that he's in, that's right now that's best for business. Like, sure. he'll do really well, and I've had really awesome matches with Suede. And
he's decent. He's over. He's got the suede pants. And, they're tights, I guess.
He switched them. Now he's wearing the dunks.
So he still got a beard?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He has a fantastic beard.
Let me say this. On behalf of myself and not you, this isn't going cutthroat Cody here. Leave the beards to the fat guys. Super in shape, skinny guy, springboard 450 in with your fucking beard. They're for fat guys for covering up double chins. You got a jawline like a fucking Paul Bunyan. Trim that shit off.
For me, I actually just shaved my beard because I grew my beard out, and it actually made my face look fatter. And
you needed to look more beefier.
I just wanted to have a jawline. Yeah. So, but he pulls it off, man. And honestly, like I said, I don't want anyone to get confused and have them think that I'm talking trash on anybody.
That is not that at all. I'm simply stating on behalf of all overweight dudes.
Cut your beard.
If you're super in shape, just fucking look like George Clooney and trim that shit off and go hit some tail.
Right.
Leave the beards for the fat guys who have no choice.
Right. And also to say something about Suede is that he put a lot of time in the gym.
Sure.
Ooh
la la, he's so handsome.
Yeah, he is somebody that put a lot of work in for the position that he's in. And truth be told, I was going to take a step back anyway because I was hurting to begin with my tendonitis in my elbows.
Right.
So now I was put in a situation to where the possibility of me being forced to take more time than I originally intended to was on the table.
Right.
And I tried to make a doctor's appointment, and the doctor's appointment was about 2 weeks from the day that I decided that I needed to go into a convenient care.
Right.
Due to the fact that it was getting too bad. And I definitely danced around the subject because I want to make sure that I don't have anyone thinking that I'm doing stupid things that I don't know how to do. Mm-hmm. I just told them that one day I woke up and it didn't move properly.
Right.
And the first doctor, whose name was also Cody.
So you had a bond?
Yes. Not really.
No.
This guy comes in the room and he asked me some questions, and he's trying to tell me to get an X-ray. And I told him I don't need an X-ray. I need an MRI. I know that it's a tear. I just need you to confirm it's a tear in order for me to know what I have to do next. And eventually, I dance around with him to the point where he agrees that I do need to have an MRI.
Right.
And I was scheduled to have, not scheduled, I had a referral to get the MRI. And then he gave me a prescription for pain medication, which I did not fill out. And I called Steinberg Diagnostic the next day, and they told me, well, your insurance has to accept the referral for the MRI, and that can take anywhere from 3 to 5 days. So I waited for 5 days, and then I called back, and they told me that the doctor wasn't in, and that from his records, he did not write the referral. So I said, okay, well, when's the doctor going to be back in? When can I get this referral? And they said, okay, well, we're going to have him rush it tomorrow. So I went in person and to the doctor's office again, and then once again they tell me the doctor isn't in yet, he'll be in tomorrow.
Right.
And then finally I had to use scare tactics that involved legal threatening.
Right.
In order for them to admit to me that the doctor took a vacation.
Sure. Oh, by the way, I mean, you could have did that math.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime a doctor's just gone for, because generally, if they're in town, they're on call.
Yes.
So if they're not available, yeah, they're in Tahiti.
Right.
With their mistress.
Absolutely.
And a Mai Tai and a Bermuda shorts.
And dragon's blood.
What?
And they're Komodo dragon venom. They're just shooting up Komodo dragon venom.
Is that what they do?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Wait, is this a thing in China or something? Like rhino horns?
It might be. It might be. All I know is I
Komodo dragon venom.
Yeah, I watched a SNL skit one time that had that on it. It was funny as hell.
Okay.
But eventually I had to fight really hard just to get this referral.
Right.
I got the MRI, and then I went to the specialist after I got the MRI, and the specialist told me this. There is a tear, possibility of 2, but they won't be able to tell if there's 2 unless they go in and open me up to see.
Right.
I can't remember the name of the muscles right now. It's big words that I don't know because
Sure.
I'm a stupid pro wrestler that gets hit in the head.
A dumb idiot.
Yes. So the other problem with that is that there's also tendonitis that is forming in my shoulder on top of arthritis.
Good God.
So that...
First of all, let me stop you right there. How old are you?
I'm 32 years old.
I've got 7 years on you. Not one medical problem. Hold on. Let me find some wood. So, you're falling apart.
Yeah. I really am. And I mean,
you're like a jigsaw puzzle where some of the pieces are missing.
Yeah. Kind of. And that's... I signed up for this, so once again, I don't want anybody thinking that I'm crying about it.
We don't have to keep apologizing or making excuses.
Of course, but I want people to be aware.
We're grown adults here. I don't know you an explanation.
Right. Well, regardless, you know me. I'm a softer spoken type of guy.
Sure.
So I know that surgery is a last ditch effort as of right now, but they want to try to do cortisone shots and physical therapy. It would be
in your best interest.
I would love for them to agree to do the surgery first out.
Right.
But instead, they want to stall me with cortisone shots and
that's where we're at today.
Rehab, yeah. So, hey, if the cortisone shots and rehab works, that's fantastic. My turnaround time isn't going to be nearly as long.
Right.
If it ends up needing to be a surgery, and much like I can tell you this now, my gut tells me I need fucking surgery.
Well, look, I'm no doctor. I mean, besides the one the doctorate I got for $30 online for metaphysics.
There you go.
Dr. Timothy Styles, by the way.
MD.
That's right. Well, no, not the MD.
Oh.
But
just sounds nice.
The nature of what you do will determine the fact that you are going to end up needing surgery. You can get cortisone shots and have rehab to get you back to 80% or 90 or whatever it's going to be. The minute you get back into a squared circle, that's going to re-deteriorate.
Oh, absolutely.
So
and that's another thing, too, I forgot to cap off on that, is that I have more than 50% of muscle thinning in the area of my shoulder.
Good gravy.
Yeah, man.
Got no muscles.
Well,
that'll be weird when you show up one day and your one arm is weaker looking than the other one. Like, geez, switch it up.
it wouldn't be that bad if I didn't throw a lot of clotheslines and forearms.
This guy's doing a lot of five-knuckle shuffle curls with one arm.
I can tell you this right now. I never realized how many forearms and punches I threw until I couldn't throw forearms and punches and clotheslines inside of a wrestling ring. So, and that's where we are. I mean...
Can I interject with that? I know we're wrapping that part up. But,
yeah.
You're a person who throws punches.
Yes.
In the ring. What's your stance on modern... This is me speaking on behalf of wrestling fans or old school ones. Punching in the ring in the sport of wrestling. Yay, nay, reserved for the heels? Is it not? It's not anything that's getting heat anymore?
So we're opening a door right now.
Yeah, I'm going down this rabbit hole.
And you want to open it, so I'm going to open it.
I have my preference. But I understand that I'm an odd duck.
There's a lot of different schools of theory on it.
Mm-hmm.
My school of theory is when I was first coming up, I couldn't throw a punch.
Mm-hmm.
I could only throw forearms because my punches looked like shit.
Sure.
And my forearms looked really good. So I just stuck to throwing forearms.
You were good at throwing the legal thing.
Correct. And I was a good guy, so that's a good thing.
Sure.
Now, a punch is supposed to be illegal in the rules of professional wrestling.
Sure.
So does that mean that bad guys should only throw punches?
Well, it's, in my personal opinion, here we go.
Okay.
Down the rabbit hole. They should be sneaking in those little haymakers and rabbit jabs.
That's a good way. That's a good thought process. But how many times does a babyface have to be punched in the face before he punches back?
What, is this a question that needs a legitimate answer?
You just give me what you have.
Well, I think historically, baby faces have thrown punches after they've been punched enough. Hogan did it, I mean, any number of guys have done it.
Yes.
But it's always been reciprocal.
And that's, so for me and myself and my flavor of ice cream, an aggressive heel should try to out-wrestle the good guy until the good guy is better than him.
Right.
Which then is the catalyst for the heel to be justified to punch him in the fucking face.
I agree. I just don't like it within plain sight of the ref.
Right.
Because, here's my scenario that drives me nuts whenever I watch this shit. One guy backs a guy into the turnbuckle and starts teeing off. 1, 2, 3, and here comes the ref. Hey, Steve, come on now. Get off of him. Come on, Steve. Don't make me count. I'm going to count 1. Stop it, Steve. Don't punch him anymore. All right, here goes. 2.
Did I ever tell you the story about the time I was legit DQ'd in a professional wrestling match with a 10 punch?
The point is in the amount of time it took me to do that, I mean, how many times could you literally punch a guy?
That's true. And once again, just going.
That's my own personal war with the refs. By the way, if you ever go to a local show here in Las Vegas, that's where we're broadcasting from. If you hear a wild maniac shouting at the referees, "What the fuck is going on? Are there no rules? Is this the Wild West? What the fuck planet is this?" You can be assured that that's me.
Well, and that's that I agree with you to an extent, but I also know that it also depends on the match,
Sure.
like what's happening in the match. Now, if you and me wrestled,
right,
and you're the good guy and I'm the bad guy, and it's the first time that we've wrestled, and we try to wrestle for a little bit, and then you're better than me, and then I punch you in the mouth, and then even if it's one good one and the referee reprimands me as like, hey, open that hand, and then I move on to some other things that are kind of dirty and bending the rules. And I think that for you to have a punch in there as a stop fucking with me type of thing is understandable, but the referee should also tell you, you got to open that hand. But by the time it comes for you to have your upcomings.
Right. Comeuppance.
There we go. Thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome.
Punch me in the fucking face as many times as you have to in order to get the crowd to give a shit.
Sure, but that's the finish of that, or I mean, you build the heat. Oh, look at me acting like I know what I'm talking about. Oh, the wrestlers are fucking turning over. What is this guy talking about? But you build the heat with the little rabbit punches, and then I've had enough. Here I go.
Absolutely, and that is something that a lot of people should listen to. So I know earlier you said that you didn't want to talk too much about the ins and outs.
Sure.
But
I will spin off every now and then. I cannot be counted on to stay focused.
And there ain't nothing wrong with that. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you, I try to protect everything that I possibly can about professional wrestling.
I wish you would.
Nobody else in the world does.
Yeah, that is true. When we first met, and I wanted to have an interviewer with a pro wrestler, I shared that, I'm glad you're here, because if I were a professional wrestler, I'm not sure I would accept my own offer.
Right.
Because I don't think I would spill my guts about certain things. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of stuff off the table, even between our own little friendship.
Of course. But there's also a part of me that I'm extremely passionate, not necessarily just about wrestling, but I'm also passionate about the process that goes into wrestling.
Oh, you know what I refuse to watch? I think on Netflix there's these series of like how to do magic tricks, and it's some masked magician, and he's showing like, here's where the fucking box goes in half and her feet are in here. So like, what a dickhead this guy is. So he's a coward wearing a mask.
So here's my girlfriend is a magician for Connie Boyd, who is a absolutely fantastic lady, and my girlfriend is kind enough to do everything that she can to try to get me out to see her, and she works on a cruise line in Europe most of the time.
Right.
And she'll fly me out, and I'll go out and I'll spend time with her, and I'll watch every show that she has. And she has asked me before, can you tell how I did it?
Right.
And I'm never watching to see how she did it.
Right.
Because
you're trying to get lost.
I just want to watch
I want to be swept away.
And here's another thing, too. If you're a fan, you can be a fan.
Right.
I think that Al Snow posted some thing on the internet that kind of caught wildfire, and I can't quote it verbatim, but along the lines that he was saying was, you don't need to know everything about it, and your over-education might actually be taking away from your experience of enjoying it.
I'll go so far as to say that Al Snow is a genius when it comes to that stuff. I mean, if anybody who are these characters who shoot videos, anybody who's a wrestling fan does it, even the wrestlers, they watch that inside shit. The stuff that he says, I would argue, makes the most sense. And just what you're saying is absolutely right. Like, why would you want to keep digging into this shit? Why would anybody want to listen to or read The Observer or stuff that goes so into detail, or spoilers or whatever? Like, what's the point? Like, it's not football. You're not looking at the the coaches. I'm going to run a nickel pattern here and a dime for this. That. No, you're just supposed to enjoy it. So when you do try to get smart, as if that ever happens, you do it too much, all you end up doing is spoiling it for yourself. And if you ever meet a legit wrestling fan, they don't really have a whole lot of nice things to say.
No, but there's also a thing is that wrestling is a niche market.
Sure.
And it attracts people that enjoy a lot of the similar things. So you have a lot of wrestling fans are also fans of comic books. A lot of wrestling fans are also fans of video games. a lot
nerds.
of
So you could say it, hill people.
Well, and I'm not afraid to admit that I am a fucking nerd.
Sure.
And there's a level of nerd that wants to know more than any other nerd in the room because it's the only way that they're going to feel validated in their life.
Right.
And that ruins it.
Yeah, so being a nerd, you've been excluded your entire life. Now we're at a point in time where pop culture has become nerd culture. Look at the biggest movies of the past 10 years. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? Like all the comic book movies.
Absolutely.
This shit is all huge. So all of a sudden the shit that you used to be into that everyone made fun of you about is now kind of cool. And now you're part of, it's not an elite fraternity of goofs. Whereas before, it was a small group of people. I don't know what point I'm trying to make.
No, and I know what you're talking about, and that's what I'm talking about too. The problem is that these people were kind of made fun of for a really long time.
They were excluded, and then they found something where they could be included as.
Now here's where people need to start letting go.
Right.
Because it's never been more popular to be a fucking nerd.
Right.
When I was a kid, I got the first Diamond Dallas Page T-shirt from the WCW shop. Mm-hmm. My mom called an 800 number and paid with her credit card to get me the DDP shirt, and I wore it to school, and I was made fun of because it had pink lettering in it.
Sure. Not for his entrance music, by the way. Self high five.
That sounds a lot like, what does that sound? What?
Well, they must have got Nirvana to do this. Oh, wait, it's a note off. But they were excluded for, our entire lives, and now all of a sudden there's shit they're into, and because they're adults and they have expendable income, movies are being made, things are being made for them now, but they're part of a group, and when you're part of a group with the history of being an excluded kind of person, the outcast, you get super into shit, and now that it's embraced to be super into shit, you kind of spoil it for yourself. It's what's going to happen with Star Wars movies eventually, with all the spin-offs and stuff. Like, geez, they really oversaturated the market.
Another problem with that is that these people have personality types that they don't want to like things that are mainstream.
Right.
So they feel like they have to know more than you.
Right.
And they have to belittle you instead of just saying, hey, I enjoy this. This is something I like. This is something that you like. Let's talk about it.
Very similarly, punk rock as a movement.
Yeah.
The exact same thing. I think Chuck Klosterman said, no one casts out more than the outcast. Because punk rock started as this, no one dresses like me, no one listens to music I listen to, and then they find out there's a club that you can join. Then eventually it becomes, you can't join our club unless you dress like us, unless you listen to music like us. You know what I mean? Like, it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. And by the way, folks, I'm a musician.
Yes.
So if I tend to spin off with parallels of the music industry, that's why that is.
So now, just real quick, let's just kind of talk about what you got going on, because we've already been babbling for almost 50 minutes. So this is awesome. But you have a band right now called Dirt City 3.
Well, things are up in the air. So I'll give a brief history on me, and I'll keep it brief because the show isn't about me.
Oh.
I'm playing devil's advocate as wrestling fan. You'll speak, and I'll snipe in with comments and such.
But you're my man, buddy, friend, pal. I want to know. I want other people to know about what you do.
Thanks, brother. So yeah, my name is Timothy Styles. I'm a musician. I've raised in Las Vegas, and I've put out a handful of records with several different bands. One of them being a very pro wrestling inspired band called Scorcha Menza between 2003 and 2008. I really should put all that music back online.
I think you should, because Backbreaker is fucking awesome.
Right. I guess it's not that long of a story. I took a lot of the music that I'd made offline because, if I feel that I have it out there, I won't be encouraged to make more. That's my explanation to the people. So I was in guitarist and lead singer of Scorch and Menza for 5 years, and then I joined a band called the Big Friendly Corporation for 5 years as their bass player and one of 4 singer-songwriters, and put out 2 records with them, 2 records with Scorch and Menza, 2 live records also with Scorch and Menza, and an EP. I left the Big Friendly Corporation back in 2013, and since then I've been basically trying to get another band going ever since then. Here we are 4 years later. I put out a solo EP, which is online, at fuzzwar.bandcamp.com. It was recorded with this very same equipment.
Kayfabe Diaries?
Wait. Oh, no, it's just called Kayfabe.
Kayfabe, that's right.
Because, of course, all the shit that... So here's my explanation, because this is the actual first podcast I'm doing that's wrestling-oriented. People will listen to it and go, God, geez, that's what... But to everyone else who doesn't know about wrestling, like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what a kayfabe is.
Sounds cool.
Right. So yeah, solo EP called Kayfabe. And then since then, I had a few start-stops. I started a band called Beta Bomb and then promptly stopped it because some of the members, they didn't enjoy being there. Not just there, just in music in general, because they've been doing it as long as I have, and you get burnt out after a period of time. There's a lot of parallels between music and wrestling.
Right.
I mean, you're a performance artist. That's what it boils down to. And then recently, after a year of putting stuff together, I started a new band called the Dirt City 3, where I'm playing guitar and singing. And after our second show, which you came to. Absolutely. The drummer decided to quit. And maybe in the future we'll go into details of why that is. Spoiler alert. I guess I called him a piece of shit, and he didn't take too kindly to that. I don't even remember it, but that's what he claimed. So, and it sounds like me, so... But nice knowing you. Yeah, so he quit. I found a replacement for him, but... in the 2 months that have passed, now our bass player has got a new job working for Coca-Cola, and his hours are continuing a challenge. So I'm in a evil corporations. But when you make a drink with cocaine in it, so as it stands right now, I currently have band practice 2 times a week. But there's 2 out of 3 members there. I'm trying to get this drummer trained and up to speed and kind of waiting on the bass player. That's where we're at. And I'm not going to allude any further until there's a major announcement because there is talks. I'll say it here because I shouldn't be embarrassed about it. But, I mean, there's talks of, having to talk to this bass player. His name's Brandon, and he's a very good friend of mine that, hey, look, man, I'm not getting any younger. I'll be 40 in April. Got a strike, it might be a situation where, got to move on without you. Unfortunately, that's not the dream scenario because he's a great musician and he's funny as shit to have around and he's a good friend of mine, so that's all that I require. But, it's something that I'm, going over my head about just so I can get the ball rolling so that when someone says, hey, tell me what you do, I could say, I'm in a band called Hella Rad. Which is another thing that's being worked on. But I won't go into more details of that. I'll just leave that as that. I've put out a shit ton of records and have podcasted in my spare time for the past, ever since I was 30. So for the past 9 years, I've probably recorded 300 hours of podcasts with a show called Big Friendly Radio, Timothy Styles versus the Universe, and Timothy Styles Must Die, which is the show that I had you on.
Yes. And that's something, too, that it's an unfortunate thing because in wrestling, you're really kind of relying on yourself.
Right. You're an independent contractor. You got to hustle and make your way.
You're your own guy. I mean, unless you're put in a tag team situation or if you're put into a stable situation. But even then, at the end of the day, you don't have to load anybody else's stuff but your own.
Right.
You don't have to rely on anybody else
but
you.
Your tag team partner, Ricky Redshirt, isn't going to pay your bills.
Absolutely. And
by the way, what tag team would that be? Cutthroat Cody and Ricky Redshirt.
Oh man,
the Desirable Bastards.
The Desirable Bastards sounds good to me.
That sounds like a good band name as well.
I'm for it, and that's the unfortunate thing with being in a band is that you have to rely on other people in order to kind of get your one vision done.
Right.
I could pack my car up and I could drive by myself,
right,
state to state. And I could just show up to a show and ask somebody if they have a spot open.
Right.
And then I wrestle one of their guys and then I go home happy. But you're in a situation to where you have to rely on these other people. And it's hard for them too because once again, like Brian has to have a job.
Right.
You know, like people have to live.
Right.
So
the industry is certainly interesting, and we're at a point in the show where we're not going to be able to go into it in depth.
Right.
We're going to wrap up here in a second.
Oh, of course.
So I'm going to put that one on the back burner. Oh, folks, if you want to hear some interesting modern day indie wrestling talk, tune in 1 month's time. Because I think we're going to do one of these once a month for the immediate future.
The reason why we decided on that, too, is because this is, once again, it's to update people about what's going on with me and my status.
That was your original concept. I've mildly hijacked it because I'm someone who believes that if you're going to make a piece of art, and I do consider podcasting art, that it should be more universal and not so specific for a select group of people. I want it to be appreciated by everybody, and I will be playing that part to make more universally appreciated tales out of you.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's goal one. Goal one is to give everyone updates because I've had a lot of people that have contacted me, and I'm going to apologize to a lot of people right now because I've had a lot of private messages, and I haven't really been in the right headspace because I don't know exactly what's going to happen yet.
Right.
So that's why, that's number one. That's what this is for myself. Number two, it's also to talk about the things that have happened in wrestling with myself and the things that I enjoy outside of wrestling.
Right.
I'm a big video game fan.
Hey, me too.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of comic books.
I used to be.
I really enjoy music.
I used to do that too.
So,
by the way, yeah, you want to hate music, just try and make it for 15 years.
Right. So those are all these things that are going to come along. Another thing that I want to bring up, and maybe at some point I'll be able to talk to some other people about their injury stories.
Right.
I'm going to ask them about what...
Without making things too macabre.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm going to ask them about their turnaround time. I'm going to ask them about, things of, about what they went through. Like this is... there's nothing worse in the world than wanting to do something. Oh, now you got to talk into the microphone. Sorry. There's nothing.
That's what I'm here for, is
Thank
to quietly tell you, get on the mic.
That's why this is a pilot too. So
yeah.
There's nothing worse in the world than doing something that you love and then suddenly having to stop even for a short period of time.
Right.
Like that sucks. And I know some people that are in situations to where they do need some help. And I'm not going to post a GoFundMe yet. I've had people that have contacted me and have asked me if they want me to just take a donation, but I won't take a donation. But I will share with you other people that might need help.
Right.
I'm going to make those people known, and if you're going to give anyone a handout, you can give it to them. On the other end of that spectrum, if you want to really give me money, I will give you something in return for it. I will give you a cool T-shirt.
We don't need to keep going over this. Let's talk about that on the next episode.
Absolutely.
Briefly when you have something written down and we can announce it. Hey, folks, on eBay this week, I got a series of fucking NWO shirts that are fucking vintage and totally sweet ass.
All mine are Japanese wrestling shirts, but my
get your Kota Suzuki bullshit at this eBay.com fucking shit.
Just follow me on Instagram at Cutthroat Cody.
Ooh, I'm on there as Timothy Styles, just in case you want to see pictures of me dicking around.
I will post the stuff for my eBay stuff on Instagram.
Right.
And you just click on my profile. You can click the link. That's where the link is. Now for yourself, Dirt City 3 has a Instagram.
Nah, don't worry about that right now.
Okay.
Timothy, look, this ain't about me.
Okay.
But, if you want to follow Timothy Styles, knock yourself out. I don't care.
Please do.
I'm no longer a celebrity in this city, and I'm kind of okay with it. I just want to be a fucking quiet artist.
Well, and I appreciate
as
your help.
pretentious as that sounds. So, folks, that's it. We will see you in 1 month's time. This episode may not air on the 1st because we'll be figuring out how and where to post it in a reasonable manner so that it's not costing us money nor costing you money. But future episodes we're hoping to be posted on the 1st. So look out for that. If you follow Cody on Instagram, it'll be announced there, and I'm sure I'll probably say something about it every now and then as well. So until next time, say bye, Cody.
Bye, Cody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Cody.